How do you know when it is time to get some new trail shoes? It's not as easy as it is when you've got road shoes. Road shoes, because your foot lands in the same place every time you strike the floor, it's much easier to have a look at the soles on the bottom, and you might find, for example, that your shoe is worn particularly on one side or the other, or the treads might be a little bit more worn. But because you're running on softer terrain with trail shoes, it can be much harder to tell. So let's have a look at some of the things that you can look for that will give you a clue as to whether it's time to actually replace your shoes. So first of all, going back to the treads, you will find, depending on the kind of terrain that you've run on, that there might be some wear and tear. So if you look closely at these shoes, you can see that actually the grip has started to go, which I'm not surprised at because they've done well in excess of 500 miles. So the grip on the bottom is starting to be a little worn down, so that is a clue that it might be time to get new shoes. If you then go to the uppers of the shoes, what you'll tend to find with trail shoes, and this will happen much more than with road shoes, is that the uppers will start to split. So you can see here I've actually got some quite big holes in the fabric where they have literally worn away, and that will be from a combination of the creasing of the fabric as I run, but the fact that they're constantly getting wet and muddy and dried out. It just means the fabric won't last as long. So looking at the uppers of your shoes is a really good clue as to whether it's time for them to be retired. The other thing that you can do is to literally just pop your hand inside and just give a little push onto the bottom of the shoe to see if there's any cushioning left in the sole. Now these, I can feel there is a little bit there, but I know that compared to when these shoes were new, the cushioning isn't as great as it was. So that again is a really good sign that my shoes might need to be retired. You can also obviously go on feel. If you are running along and you can consciously feel that there's not much cushioning left in your shoes, then yes, they're probably on their way out. The other thing that might give you a clue is that you might find that you start getting some niggles in your legs, perhaps in your knees, and that can often be a good indication that your shoes aren't supporting you as much as they should do. So do look for that as a sign as well. Finally, of course, if your shoes are worn out in some way and you want to get rid of them, great, that's a really good sign. But sometimes, as we all know, us runners just like to have a new pair of trail shoes for the sake of it. So it may be that you can justify it by the fact you're going to be starting to run different distances or different terrains. But whatever your reason is, think carefully, enjoy choosing your new trail shoes, whether you actually really need them,